Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. On this video, we're going to start talking about Charlie Fulton. Jack, what was your thoughts on Charlie Fulton?
I thought Charlie was a great hand. He had a great look. He could go in the ring with anybody. I really thought he should have gotten a push somewhere.
Well, in 1973, I believe it was 1973, he teamed with someone that fans might know as the French Angel, Frank Morel. He teamed with them, and they wore masks, and they were called the Mighty Yankees. And I don't know if a lot of people know that he was the Mighty Yankee back in 1973, but he was tremendous in this. And I don't think Charlie Fulton always wrestled as Charlie Fulton. Am I correct, Rodney?
That is correct. I'm looking at it right now. He was the Black Demon. He was Gary Fulton. He was the Mighty Yankee, which we mentioned before. But no, he wrestled as it was lots of times in a mask. He was a demon number 2, and he was a Black Demon.
Charlie knew what he was doing in the ring. And the thing about it, Charlie was a great guy. When he was working in Georgia, Charlie got beat almost every night. And I remember Dad came into the deal. He was giving Charlie the finish, and he said, "Okay, Charlie, tonight I want you to give the big forearm." He said, "Guy's going to go down. You're going to pin him 1, 2, 3." He said he just stopped and looked at Ronnie. He said, "What in order? What did I do? Did I make somebody mad?" He said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "I've not won a match since I've been here. Are y'all fixing to get rid of me? I've been winning. I've been losing every match. What's happening here?"
Aren't taking his stuff off.
Yes, I'm just gonna take my tights off. I'm not gonna win no matches. Jeez, what's wrong with y'all people? I'll never forget that story of Charlie Fulton and
he was
him.
pushed pretty good also in for Nick Goulas as well.
Yeah, he had a tag team partner.
I cannot remember who it is, but it's on this. I believe it's with Sir Clements is the manager. I believe that's the one with George Goulas is in it. George Goulas and I forget who his partner was in that. That's where George Goulas wore that umbrella from Sir Clements on everybody. There was nothing left, and I cannot remember who George's partner was in, but it was on the same video with Bearcat Brown and Joey Rossi.
Yeah, Charlie was just fluid. Everything he did was great. And he made a fortune in the wrestling business. He was paid very well. And really, as the latter part of his career, he was beat almost every night. So Charlie Fulton, just a tremendous wrestler.
I watched a tremendous match with him just before we went on tonight for Mid-Atlantic. Tag team match against Barry Windham, with course Blackjack Mulligan Jr. and Jake Roberts. Just a tremendous match. It was Charlie Fulton and Chris Markoff, I think it was, and a tremendous match.
I don't know why nobody ever gave him why anybody didn't push him after the time he did the Mighty Yankees with Frank Morel. I'm not for sure he ever got pushed anywhere else after that. He was wrestling, and maybe he didn't want to. Maybe he just wanted to wrestle. Brad Armstrong said that one time. He said, "Listen, I don't care if I'm on the main event. I just want to make a living being a professional wrestler." He didn't care if he was pushed or not. I don't think Charlie did either. While we're talking about wrestlers, we got to talk about Jackie Fargo. Jackie Fargo has to ultimately be the biggest star that Nick Goulas ever had. Out of all the wrestlers, Jackie Fargo, and if you got to put Tojo Yamamoto in there too, those are probably the 2 biggest stars that Nick Goulas ever had. Jackie Fargo, Rodney, what's your thoughts of Jackie?
Oh, he was before his time, actually. Jackie, of course, teamed with Don Fargo. They were a huge headlining tag team all over. They even headlined in Madison Square Garden. This was a huge star. And Jackie I think he liked being at home. And so he lived in Nashville. And I think at one time he run some kind of bookie thing. Got him run out of Nashville. But not only was he a star for Nick Goulas, he was a star for Jerry Jarrett for years. In fact, even after he long retired, Jackie would come back. And everybody remembers when Jackie basically passed the torch to the fabulous one, Steve Kerr and Stan Lane. And but Jackie's, and his name, even till this day, is still huge, and especially here in the Chattanooga area, all over Tennessee. Jackie Fargo's name's huge.
Jackie Fargo.
That was my grandfather's favorite wrestler. So I watched Jackie from as far back as I can remember. And it just, I always loved Jackie. Got to talk with him a few times before he passed away. And of course, I'm friends with his daughter. And I mean, man, Jackie Fargo was Tennessee wrestling.
Yeah.
And everybody else was just trying to keep up with him.
And if you'll notice, the strut that Bill Dundee did, the strut that the Fabulous Ones did, the Fantastics was all Jackie Fargo.
Oh, and to a certain extent, Jeff Jarrett.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
When he was doing Double J, Jeff Jarrett, he did the Fargo strut. Not to the extent, I don't think no one did it as good as Jackie Fargo.
No.
He had a certain flair about this thing. And it's
he knew where to put it in the match. Exactly. Yeah. He knew where to put it in the match.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, when Jackie Fargo threw those punches, you knew those punches were going to make some type of impact on you.
I watched not too long ago a video of him punching Jerry Lawler, and absolutely, those were the prettiest punches I have ever seen in my life. Now, it was a combined effort because, Lawler was selling it like he was getting hit by a freight train, but man, I mean, they were perfect.
Let me tell you something, Pally. You stink, Hart. You stink. You just stink. And I never forget when he kept on doing the interview, and it went about 4 minutes. And Jerry Lawler comes back on. He says, "You know what? I think he believes that Jimmy Hart stinks." Jackie Fargo's tremendous. For those people who don't know who Jackie Fargo is, go do some research on him. He was a major star. Memphis, Chattanooga, Nashville, drew a ton of money, wrestled against all kinds of people. The original Sheik, he acted Crazy Luke Graham. And oh, by the way, Richard Hood says we cannot forget Roughhouse Fargo, Sonny Fargo, right, which would later go to Crockett's and become the referee, and because he didn't want to travel either. By the way, Roughhouse was brought back in 1982, Rodney?
Right.
To Chattanooga, Tennessee, the team with Tommy Rich to go against, I believe it was Gary Hart and the Great Kabuki.
And Ron Bass and the Great Kabuki sure was.
Packed that, for whatever reason, it wasn't at the Memorial Auditorium. We had to be at the McCullen Gym, but the place was packed, and boy, the people went nuts.
And they put on, and Roughhouse, he stole the show. There was nothing after that. Tommy just sort of just stood around. It was awesome. It was awesome. And Roughhouse was he was an attraction. He wasn't somebody that came to stay any amount of time. He would come and go.
For those people who don't know what they would do, something would happen and they needed a partner, and they would go and say, "Listen, I'll tell you what I did. I went down to the asylum last night, and I went and got my brother out of that asylum, and he's going to be my partner because I can trust him." And he would go out and sit in the crowd. He'd eat popcorn off of people. He'd sit on their laps. He'd go way up into the balcony and sit up there and wave. Just crazy stuff.
Yeah. And Jackie called him Nuthouse, not Roughhouse. They called him Nuthouse.
Yeah, because he was in the house. That's the
Dad was talking about the Garvins. I think it was in Nashville on TV, and some of the insiders might have seen it. But this was done in the mornings. TV was done in the mornings, and of course Terry Garvin was there and had rollers in his hair because he said it was too early. No decent people would be up at this time in the morning, and they were telling him all day, "Roughhouse is going to be here. You better be on your guard." Well, he wasn't on his guard. So Roughhouse come out there and run around Terry Garvin. Terry Garvin passes out, faints from the excitement of Freedom Nuthouse, and Place sold out. They showed it all over. They showed it in Chattanooga. They showed it all over, and it sold out everywhere they went. The Garvins against the Fargos.
Well, there's so much more we can talk about Charlie Fulton and Jackie Fargo, but I just wanted to talk about those two people just briefly because I think both made their impacts in professional wrestling. If you enjoyed this video, give us the big thumbs up. Subscribe to the video or subscribe to Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. Hit that notification bell. And go one step further and share this video with your family, friends, and tell them about Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. Until the next video, so long for Pro Wrestling Inside and Out.